Okay, welcome Marlot. Thank you very much for joining this Green Talk today. First of all, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Marlot Kiveron. I'm 30 years old. I live in Amsterdam with my boyfriend and my cat Bert. And I work at Ace&Tate as a sustainability or responsibility manager, as we call it. My background is in supply chain, buying, and product development. And I started working at Ace&Tate 5 years ago in the supply chain team.
Okay, nice. So what does sustainability mean to you?
I wrote down because I thought it was such an interesting question. I think it's such I don't know, evolving definition, or there are so many definitions if you Google it, for example. I think in terms of business, it means being conscious, aware, and acting on your social and environmental footprint. So I think taking both in consideration as well as acting on both. Or a marathon, not a sprint, is what we used to say at Ace&Tate. Like, we're in here for the long run. So we should treat the planet and the people and the animals in the same way, like in a way that we can sustain a right way of living altogether.
Okay, that's a beautiful definition. And that's also in line with the next question. Because you're the sustainability manager of Ace&Tate. Can you describe your job? What are your day-to-day tasks?
Yes, we call it responsibility at Ace&Tate because we think it's all about taking your responsibility as a brand, but also as a company, as an individual. So it makes it a bit more active, I guess. Okay. So I'm actually working on 4 pillars. I'm measuring our impact. So on a yearly base, we have a CO2 impact report where we measure our direct impact on the environment. So business flights, our HQ, the stores. We have a life cycle assessment on a yearly basis. So this is scope 3. So the impact of the full life cycle from raw materials to end of use of our products. And we're currently working on becoming a certified B Corp by Q1 2021. So this is basically the measure for our social impact. So in short, B Corp measures also environmental impact, but next to this also the impact on all the stakeholders you have. So customers, employees, but also workers within the value chain, the communities in the cities that you're active in, shareholders, everyone, every person that is in contact with Ace&Tate and has is affected by us doing business, basically. So the first pillar is measuring impact, and we need this in order to detect impact areas, basically. So the second pillar is focusing on impact, improving our impact, and we focus here on our stores, retail, product and packaging, and on the impact we have on people. So for example, we recently launched a recycled acetate collection, and we're moving all our frames into bioacetate. We removed a lot of our packaging, so we're trying to make steps in order to improve at the core of what we do. We're an eyewear company, so it makes sense to focus on our core business, retail, product, packaging. The third one is internal engagement, and this is coordinating all the goals within all the teams. So all the departments, all the teams, they have their own responsibility-related goals, linked to becoming a B Corp or linked to, for example, the production process. And as a responsibility manager, I'm coordinating those goals. So I'm checking in with all the teams, see how they are doing, and helping out wherever I can. And the fourth is transparent communication. So we try to communicate both the results, and we have them on our website, so you can read, for example, a summary of our life cycle assessment, but also the full report. And on Medium, we have separate blog posts around the process. So in short, we were not founded as a sustainable company, and on Medium, we're actually telling the story of how to evolve as a company, or how to start make small and bigger changes, and we share our challenges there, but also our wins, in order to make it more easy to understand for our customers, but also to encourage other companies to start working on responsibility, as we call it, as well.
Okay, interesting. So it goes way further than only one part. You're actually really responsible for sustainability within all the fields of the company.
Yes, I would say so. So it's really, 4 pillars. So measuring impact, focus on impact, internal engagement, and transparent communication. Mm-hmm. And of course, our marketing and communication team is helping me with actually getting the products out in the air, but I give the input, so the impact side.
Okay, cool. And you just told that it wasn't found as a sustainable company. One of the questions is that one can find a lot of articles about Ace&Tate going towards sustainability. So was Ace&Tate established with the goal of being as much sustainable as it can be, or is it just a reaction to what is happening to our planet?
Good question. No, we were not founded sustainable, or not with a purpose, as you see a lot of companies that were also founded around 2013 or after that, like Fairphone or Moyi. They're founded with a purpose of doing better, and we had a purpose in the sense of providing high quality eyewear for transparent prices. So our business model is different than the traditional players. We took out a lot of middlemen, and we're working directly with our own design team, with our manufacturers. We have our own retail channel, so we don't have any other brand than Ace&Tate. So we're a direct to consumer brand. So transparency was in there from the very beginning, but environmental or social impact not as directly as I would wish. So around 3 years ago, we were growing really rapidly. I started at Ace&Tate 5 years ago in the supply chain team, and at that time we had 1 store in Amsterdam at the Van Bouwstraat. It's around the corner here. And now we have over 65 stores throughout Europe. So the company grew, massively, insane. Mm-hmm. And of course, we needed more manufacturers, partners to manufacture the eyewear, the frames. So I was responsible for sourcing at that point, and I was visiting a lot of suppliers and factories in order to make sure we could grow. And I noticed the waste in the production process. So we're called Ace&Tate after acetate, which is the plastic sheet materials we mill out the frames out of these plastic sheets. So it's actually related to the raw material, Ace&Tate acetate. And in one production step only, we use only 20%. So moving from a slab, which is a square, into a frame, you lose 80% of the material. And this sort of sparked my interest in the production process and how polluting eyewear was, in the sense of having a lot of waste within the production process that is not visible for the end consumer. So I came back and I had a very interesting conversation with Mark de Lange, our CEO and founder, and he was reading up on actually doing business for good. So he was reading up on Patagonia, letting my people go surfing, very interesting book. And those two sort of came together. And then we decided we can make a change here. We're rapidly growing. This is a traditional industry, and we disrupted it once by cutting out middlemen and providing high quality frames for a transparent price. Let's do this again on social and environmental impact and become a driver for change. So we did our research and we found not a lot of eyewear brands were actually doing a lot within the core of what they were doing. So not changing the product or not changing the packaging, just a small, just a few small initiatives. So we started out with a life cycle assessment in order to see, okay, where is the biggest impact within the life cycle of our products. And so it started 3 years ago with that heat map. And the first step was to redesign the packaging, basically. So we had a lot of packaging and it counted for more than 50% of our total footprint 3 years ago. And everyone was super surprised. Everyone thought, okay, the main impact is probably logistics. And it was not. It was packaging by far. And it makes sense if you think about it, because we had a lot of packaging. We had a tote bag, we had a paper box, a cleaning cloth, a case, a handwritten card, paper bag, the list was endless. So the volume and weight of all the packaging versus a frame was way bigger and way larger. And the impact, therefore, was also worse than we thought. So we used this circular principles of Ellen MacArthur: reduce, reuse, recycle, and we eliminated all the packaging that was not necessary. We also wrote a blog post around it and reinvested the savings into better materials. So our tote bag, for example, was made out of untraceable cotton. We moved to organic cotton and fair trade, and now it's made out of recycled cotton. So every time we place an order, we tend to go a step up in environmental impact linked to the packaging. And the same, for example, for the cleaning cloth you clean your glasses with. It was made out of microfiber, and now it's made out of recycled PET, which still means whenever you wash it, there will be microplastics going into the water, unfortunately. So we're looking into an organic circular fabric at the moment, but it's hard to find a fabric that is circular, but is also cleaning well. So what you see often is the polyesters and the microfibers, they clean very well, but they're not sustainable in the sense of circular. Their footprint is very high. So we try to find a balance between making use of the product to clean the frames and being sustainable.
Okay, interesting. So that it has been a whole process of looking at what the impact was and how you can change it. Cool.
Yes, and in the meantime, I moved from the supply chain team into responsibility manager. So but it all started with the life cycle assessment and with the waste in the production process, as well as the book of Patagonia. Yeah.
Okay. And I can imagine that if you start something like this, you can think of a whole lot you can change, but you have to make choices about what you are actually going to do. So how do you make those choices, and where do you focus your sustainability efforts?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. For us, we look into impact, and also one of our values is bold views. So we actually want to drive change. So we don't want to necessarily do the normal stuff or the quick fixes only, but we really want to look into the product and for example, the waste streams, and try to do something bold with it. So an example here is, for example, our store in Antwerp that was made out of recycled local plastic, but also our recycling process. So when producing a frame, you have dummy lenses. So this is a fake lens that is in the frame in order to keep its shape during transport, but also during keeping it on stock, basically. And this is made out of PMMA, a very simple plastic, and you get rid of it before you put in the prescription lenses of the customer. So we need this because eyewear is a personalized product, which most people don't realize. And it's a pre-consumer waste stream. So we collected these and we set up the reverse logistics from all our stores and lens grinding facilities. And we recycled this into 3D filament, so the printing cartridge material of 3D printers, together with reflow. So we're actually trying to sort of take what we have and try to find a solution that matches the brand as well as is innovative and more sustainable. So this is difficult, but I try to, on one hand, measure impact with the CO2 report, the life cycle assessment with B Corp, and focus on the biggest chunks and solve them in a way that we can inspire others with, but also really create something around. So sort of a business savvy way of linking responsibility to business.
Okay, interesting. So you just said you want to inspire other peoples and really change something. In one of your interviews, you said that you were trying to educate even the employees at Ace&Tate on how to be more sustainable and lead them towards a sustainable lifestyle. Mm-hmm. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. During the Corona period, it was on hold for a bit, but before we had 2 core teams. So we had one core team within the head office and one within retail. And people that were interested in the topic could sign up and they received more information. We went to events together at Pakhuis de Zwijger, for example, or Circle to learn more about certain topics. We also did some workshops with external people that were very specialized in a certain topic we were working on, for example. So now with the B Corp roadmap, we have a B Corp core team. And next Monday, we will have a workshop around B Corp and why it's so important, but also hearing from B Lab how we can smartly work with the assessment. So it's important to get knowledge in-house, basically, because often it's a tough cookie, basically. So people, I think everyone would agree we should improve ourselves, and this is important for us as humans, but also for the planet. And I think the difficulty here is how, because there are so many ways to measure things. For example, looking at carbon footprint or circularity, or looking at water usage. So you need to start somewhere. So we try to get as much knowledge in-house on the projects we're working on. And apart from this, every team has its own goals. So they actively think about what can we improve as a department. The retail expansion team responsible for the Plasticite in Antwerp store, the store made out of waste. They are very proactive in looking into new, better, sustainable materials in order to improve the footprint of our stores, basically. So every team is acting themselves, and where we lack the knowledge, we try to find it elsewhere and link it to Ace&Tate, basically.
Okay, interesting. So that's inspiring internal. And do you also inspire other companies external? So how can other firms also be motivated to reduce unnecessary packaging as your company does? Do you also work with that, or?
A bit. So we have the Medium blog posts in order to sort of show our journey and encourage others to do so as well, and also honestly show like it's not easy. It's quite difficult to take a different approach, but please do it anyways and join us. So one tool here is the Medium blog post, but I also, especially before COVID, but now also sometimes online, I advise other companies how to start, like a couple of first steps basically. And together with Amber of the Student Hotel, we founded the AMES Sustainability Network. And this is a small network of sustainability managers within Amsterdam, because often you have no peers within the company. So you're the only sustainability manager, or maybe you have a very small team. So it's nice to talk to peers and share best practices, but also learnings, and for example, filter together where to get certain information, because there's such an information overload if you follow social and environmental innovations and news. It's a bit overwhelming sometimes. So it's really helpful to help each other out basically. So I think it's important to say I'm also still learning. I think sustainability is never a done job. We're working on it as a sort of working title, because I think you will never be at a stage where you say, well, we're done, we're fully sustainable. I think as long as you keep producing a product or providing a service, it comes with a form of or a shape of impact. So you should always continuously improve and innovate, find better ways to do so. So I don't want to sort of preach that I invented the wheel here, but I do think sharing information with each other is a very important thing, especially within the sustainability field.
Okay, interesting. And you just said there's always more to improve. And in November 2018, Mark de Lange, Ace&Tate CEO, said that you'll make all the needed steps to reduce your carbon footprint and try to be a sustainable company. As you are the sustainable manager, there's a lot on your shoulders. And do you have one major goal for Ace&Tate? Or
Yes.
is it always continuing?
Of course, it's always improving. And I do think it's important to have a dot on the horizon where you work towards, because otherwise it's super difficult. So recently we declared climate emergency, and we joined the B Corp Net Zero Collective. So we pledged to be net zero by 2030. And at the moment, I'm creating an entire roadmap on how to sort of get there with intermediate goals. We're measuring this in the life cycle assessment for scope 3 and in the CO2 report for scope 1 and 2. And everything that we cannot decrease yet, we're offsetting with trees for all till then. So that's not a perfect situation, but it's better. A big part of it is having a circular product, a technical circular product in the end. So first steps are bioacetate, recycled acetate, circular packaging. We recently launched home try-on packaging. So we have this service where you can order a frame with dummy lenses at home to try it on, show it to your friends, family, and then to purchase it. And this home try-on service now has circular packaging. We worked on this together with Repack, which is great. So we're making first steps. We have a cleaning kit that is refillable. So you purchase it one time and then you can come back to the store and we refill it for free. Circular stores is a very important part because we have so many stores, and of course the operations of the stores. So we rent the stores, so we are working with landlords, and we actively reached out to all of them basically in order to make sure we were running on green energy. So we're almost there. We have 3 more stores to go. And this is a large part of our operational direct footprint. So those kind of things will help us in order to become carbon neutral by 2030. And apart from that, we're recently launched Reframe. This is our circular business model, and this is just the first step, but people or customers of Ace&Tate can return their worn frame to our stores, and they receive a €10 gift card. And then we will refurbish and repair the frames and resell them for a different price. And the difficulty with frames is there is a acetate outside, and then there's a metal inside. So there is a screw, there's a hinge, there's a core wire to make sure it's nicely fitted on your face. So it basically consists out of 3 groups of components. You have the lenses, you have the acetate, and you have the metal, but it's all sort of integrated. So it's quite difficult in the end, if we're not able to repair or to refurbish, to recycle the full frame. So this is something we will work on next year. So indeed, there is a lot to do, and it's sometimes difficult to make choices, especially when you're in the responsibility field, because you're often more emotionally attached to what you're doing than in other jobs. So that makes it more difficult to choose. But this is our dot at the horizon. And for social impact, B Corp is helping. So you have to reassess the company every 2 years. So you have to improve your social impact every 2 years and get validated basically. Is this an answer to your question? Is it clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And yeah, so obviously there's always a lot to do, but you've already also accomplished a lot of things. What is there one thing that you're especially very proud of?
Yes, I think the bioacetate journey is something I'm really proud of. So we had a lot of different also poppy colors within our acetate collection. And together with the acetate supplier, our product developer Suzie did an amazing job in order to recreate all the colors with the bioacetate. So this is something I'm really proud of the design team, that they made this happen. We recently had a second version of our code of conduct, which is a legal agreement with our direct suppliers, and it ensures they treat their workers well. So I'm proud of that one as well, because it really is a first step in order to do better on a social indirect level, basically. So it's relatively easy to treat your own employees right, or to treat your customers in the right way, but it's more difficult if it's an indirect relationship. So we're auditing, of course, but this code of conduct is really a very nice step forward. And this was done by the buying team. So I'm really proud of Anila in the buying team as well for making this happen. Yeah, so those are, I think, 2 things that are really nice.
Okay, cool. So that leads me to the last question already. We've started GreenTalks to give students some ideas for a career in sustainable field. How did you become a sustainable manager? What was your career journey?
Yeah, that's a funny question, because I don't think I I followed the normal journey. So I studied economics, and then I worked at Suit Supply as a product developer. I did some administrative tasks on the buying department. And then I moved to Ahold, Albert Heijn, and I worked there in the beverages department. And while I was there, we updated the assortment. So from the traditional Coca-Cola, we went to a more healthy and special assortment. So organic wines, for example, or lemonades with less sugar, etc. And then I was asked to be production manager at Ace&Tate. So I didn't have a very sustainable start, I would say. And during my journey of understanding the product better and the sourcing part, I learned so much technical things about eyewear and the production of eyewear. And that really sparked my interest in doing this better, less waste intensive. And then this opportunity came to sort of grow into this role. So one of the first things I did when I sort of decided that this was my path was connecting to other sustainability managers within Amsterdam and outside, and asking them, okay, what do you read? Where do you look for your information? Is there one book you can tell me to read in order to get my knowledge level up to speed? And I think the interesting thing of responsibility or social and environmental impact now is that there are so many innovations, both on law and legislation sort of side, but also on the materials innovation side, on the way we measure impact. So this really helps to sort of get up to speed in a more rapid way, I would say. But I think one of the key things for me, also looking at my future, is to stay informed, to keep on reading, keep on educating myself. I think this is one of the, especially this field is growing so fast, and that's great. But you really need to make the effort to keep up with the pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any tips or tricks for students who want to be in this sustainable field with their job?
Yes, I do have one. I see a lot of students, and also applying for internships at Ace&Tate. They have a bit of a conflict working within the business industry or working within a commercial business with a sustainability background. And I actually think if we start there in the business part and we start improving there, we can make a lot of impact. So choose your path wisely, I would say, but also grow your network and read up, but also filter a bit, not to be exhausted from all the reading, a bit of a balance there. I would say those are my my 3 tips.
Okay, thank you. I've covered all the questions. Would you like to, is there something you would like to add to this talk?
No, I think we briefly touched upon the Antwerp store. And I do think I should give the credits to Lily de Goede, which was our retail designer. And she came up with this amazing idea. So we were talking to Plasticite for a while, but more for smaller items. And then Lily came up with the idea, together with Kiki from the design department, to use an actual local waste stream from Antwerp and using this as material within the store. And I think that's such an amazing but also sort of bold thing to do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the thing I would like to end with.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me in this interesting talk. I really enjoyed it, and I think my fellow students also will when they watch it.
Great, thank you.